My dear devotees, different Vaishnava acharyas have presented different purports to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has presented a purport. Srila Raghunath Das Goswami has presented a purport. Gopal Guru Goswami, he's presented a purport, very lengthy purport. On what could be meditated upon while chanting the Mahamantra? Our founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, has explained that when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we are praying, O my Lord, O the energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. From the time we were very first day coming to Krishna consciousness, we heard, this means, O my Lord, O the divine energy of the Lord, Srimati Radharani, please engage me in your service. And we understand that in the practice of Krishna consciousness, that is our only aspiration. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told us, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam bhajagadish kamai, mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatad bhakti rahai jahitva. He said, Lord, we don't want the results of karma, nor do we want the results of jnana, nor do we want the results of yoga. He explains Janmani Janmanishwari, birth after birth, meaning, Lord, we don't even want liberation. We're quite prepared to stay here in Chicago and do this throughout eternity. But Lord, what we want is your service. Because the Lord has taught us, and our acharyas have taught us, that this is the only goal of life, and this is truly the only activity that will satisfy our soul. Ahaituki apritiyata inatma suprasidati. The soul will become supremely satisfied simply if we engage in the service of Sri Krishna. So this chanting is a prayer. Please, give me that service. I know I'm not qualified. I know it's so audacious of me even to ask. I'm so full of so many things that are not good. But still, Lord, please give me your service. So that is the commentary given by Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada loved Krishna so much, and Krishna loved Prabhupada so much, that Prabhupada carried this name all over the earth, so that in every town and village people would be saying, "Oh my Lord, Oh, the energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. And what will be the effect? In the Gita, he says, Jejata mam prapajante tang sataiva bhajamyaham. Bhajami means rewards. Yaham, bhajamyaham. I reward you according to your desire. I reward you according to your aspiration. So therefore, if we will chant Hare Krishna mantra with pure intent, focusing, oh my Lord, oh energy of the Lord, kindly engage me in service. Krishna says, Bhajamyaham, I will reward and I will give you that service. And that is the goal of our lives. So we have been chanting. Srila Prabhupada, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have taught us that this is the most perfect way to request the Lord for service. So therefore, let us look at divine forms of Kishore Kishori. They have been here in Chicago for so long time. And generation after generation of people have been coming before these beautiful deities of the Lord, and they've been saying, oh my Lord, oh energy of the Lord, Kishori, me and your service. So let us chant again, but with that focus. Let us be very, very focused and just pray. Let us do your service just for your pleasure. Because everything that we do is meant only for one thing, and that's the pleasure of Kishore Kishori. Nothing else. It's just like when our priests, when they perform the Havan, and they're putting the Ahuti, they chant Idam Krishnai, Idam Namama. This is for Krishna, it's not for me. Idam Namama, it's not for me. We're not chanting for me. He's not playing for him. We're not dancing just because we couldn't make it to LA Fitness this morning. We're singing for the pleasure of Kishore Kishori. We're playing for the pleasure of Kishore Kishori. We're dancing for the pleasure of Kishore Kishori. This is called bhakti. Just like some of you folks, Indian people, and many here have visited India, and even in America in old times, you go to the country and they have hand pump, where you pump and you pump and you pump, and then the water comes out and you fill your bucket. Correct? But sometimes you go to the pump, you start pumping, and nothing comes out. Like one great poet once said, you don't miss your water till your well run dry. And then if the pump is dry, what do? You take 1 cup of water, put it inside, start pumping, you prime it. You put a bucket in, primes the pump, and then the sweet flow of water starts gushing out. Singing for Krishna is putting water in the pump. Playing mridanga for Krishna, putting water in the pump. Dancing for Krishna, putting water in the pump. Dressing these deities so beautifully and worshiping them every day, putting water in the pump. Serving Vaishnav's lotus feet, putting water in the pump. Hearing Bhagavatam, putting water in the pump. Knowing Gita, putting water in the pump. And then you start pumping. And what comes out? The sweet, sweet water of bhakti. Krishna prema will come out. You just keep pumping. You keep putting the water and then you keep pumping. That's what this bhakti is all about, these activities of bhakti. And if we keep doing it, and if you really believe when he says bhajamyaham, that he will reward, then eventually he'll give you the greatest gift. And what is the greatest gift? He'll give himself to you. Krishna will give himself to you. And he'll always live in your heart. So Prabhupada was so kind and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so kind. They gave us the ultimate, highest gift of Krishna's devotional service that can be attained through this chanting of the Maha Mantra. So let's do it again. And let's really try to hear the beautiful sound as Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. When these voices go up, please listen, because it is such a beautiful sound, and it's so beautiful because it is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can see him directly on the altar. It's Kishore Kishori. We can hear him and experience him in the form of his holy name. So let us try with deep prayer for service. My dear devotees, I am not sure if you are aware, but on this very Sunday, 400 years ago, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami completed Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Where he described the life and the pastimes and the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Kaviraj Goswami tells us that Lord Chaitanya and his associates, they broke the lock on the storehouse of love of God, and they went inside and they started drinking and drinking and drinking. And they drank and they drank and they became very intoxicated. And then when they became so intoxicated, they started distributing without discrimination. They were mad with love. They had no discrimination. They didn't care if I was white body, black body, brown body, Hindu body, Christian body, Muslim body, green body, blue body. They didn't care any of that stuff. They just said, take take, take. And they gave freely. Lord Chaitanya, he brought that love of God to this world. He brought the gift of Krishna Prema and the chanting of the holy name. And by that gift of the holy name, Lord Chaitanya will bless us. We're all devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. With Lord Chaitanya, he is the master, we are all the servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he wants us to distribute also. Take this nectar of the name, distribute it throughout the world. When he sees that you're a good distributor, then he will put a stamp on your diploma. Yes, he's bona fide. And when you become a bona fide servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only then do you get your passport to go upstairs. So our life is service to Lord Chaitanya, isn't it? Nothing else. Service to the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we were just singing Gaurahe, Gaurahe, calling Lord Chaitanya's name. But if you want to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy, you have to get Nitai's mercy. If you want to get any mercy, you need to get Nitai's mercy. Our acharyas, they've written, Nitai Charan Bini Bai, Radha Krishna Paitenai. Unless you serve Nitai, you won't get anything. And look how merciful Nitai was. What was Nitai doing? He was saving people like Jagai and Madai. We have to become Nitai's people. Serve Nitai. Like Krishna tells Arjuna, if a person says he's my servant, he's not my servant. If a person says he's a servant of my devotee, he's my devotee. You've read that before? If a person says, I'm your devotee, Krishna. If a person says, I'm the devotee of your devotee, of your devotee, of your devotee. Like once Srila Prabhupada arrived in an airport, and the reporter said, Sir, what are you? And Prabhupada answered, I am the servant of Krishna. And then a few seconds later, very humbly, Prabhupada said, no, I would like to correct that statement. He said, I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Because to be the servant of Krishna is a very rare thing. So now we should cry for the mercy of Nitai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Nitai is so kind that if when we chant the name of Gaur, even one time Nitai sees one single drop in your eye, Nitai will take you and just drown you in the ocean of love. He's so kind, he's so merciful. So let us really focus on Lord Nityananda, chant his holy name. Like I left America in 1972, and a lot of my life I've lived in India and Vrindavan. And I've had a home in Vrindavan since 1988. Krishna gave me a home over there. He blessed me. I don't know why. But my next door neighbor is one saint, and his name is Balaram Baba. You heard of Balaram Baba? Huh? No. Balaram Baba is a little younger than myself, and he's he's about 58, I think. He came to Vrindavan when he was about 16 or 17. He's from, I think he's from Madhya Pradesh. And his guru was a Siddha Astanga yogi. It's a very great Astanga yogi. And when Balaram Baba went to him as a child, his guru kept him in the ashram, and his guru checked him out, and he said, this Astanga yoga is not your path. He said, your path is bhakti. He said, you should go to Vrindavan. You should only do Harinam, Bhagavat, and Sadhu Seva Prashadam distribution. So I started that Food for Life program back in Vrindavan in 1988, I think. And my next door neighbor, Balaram Baba, he saw how I was feeding people. And he told me, he said, like he's Balaram and I'm Govinda. Okay. So I always call him Big Brother. And he, we always joke. He always says, Govinda's always like a rascal doing nonsense. And I said, yeah, but Balaram's always like taking bong, We always joke. He said, look, help me. I want to start serving sadhus. So I started giving him whatever money I had every month. Now Balaram Baba, he feeds about, practically every day he feeds 1,000 sadhus. He's an amazing devotee. And in his kutir, he has kirtan from 6 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, every day, always. And a lot of these kirtan melodies that you've heard us chant over the past few years, it's like devotees going by Balaram Baba's place and listening to the kirtaneers, going in, recording it, and then putting it in a way that like a Western brain that's accustomed to rock and roll can figure it out. One time I went on Govardhan Prikram with a group of Russian devotees. And I came back about 8 o'clock in the evening, and I was like really happy, having walked around Giriraj and just felt the divine grace of Vrindavan. I was so happy. And we've been chanting. We were chanting rounds the whole time around Govardhan. So I was coming down the lane going to my house, and Balaram Baba was outside his house. And he looked up and he saw me. And he went, oh, Maharaji, you're looking very happy. You're looking very ecstatic. What happened? And I looked at him and I said, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam. And he smiled when I was saying that. He was filling up with joy hearing me say that. And then he looked at me and he folded his hands and he said, Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam. And then he folded his hands and he said, Hare Nama, Mama Jivanam, which means Harinam is my only life. So for us folks who are trying to become devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and trying to become servants of Srila Prabhupada, this Harinam should be our lives. And we should really have faith that if we will As Srila Prabhupada said, if we chant Hare Krishna mantra and we avoid the 10 offenses and we perform our chanting every day, then all the impurities will be washed away. We should have that faith. Everything which is abhadra, everything which is bad in the heart, will simply get washed away, and then we receive that gift of Krishna Prema Bhakti. And Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said that Krishna Prema Bhakti is more brilliant than gold that has been burnt in fire 1,000,000 times. Where are you from? He's from Chicago. South side. You're from South Side? From the South Side, all right. Every year I go down to South Africa. And I first went there in '87. We're in Johannesburg. Under Johannesburg is empty because it's all gold mines down there. So you ride down the expressway and I'd see these big heaps of black stuff on the side, by these encampments, these big heaps of black dirt. I said, what is that stuff? And they said, oh, that's gold. I said, that's gold? And they said, yeah, I guess sometimes they get like some pure ore, but a lot of it just comes out in this black dirt. Then they have to burn it. They burn the impurities out. And they burn 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 until it gets that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful golden hue when it's absolutely pure. So Krishna Prema Bhakti is like that. It's like it shines brilliantly, like gold that's been burnt 1,000,000 times. And that's our aspiration. It's not that we're doing, let's sit down for a second, because we're old folks, we've been dancing for a while, we don't need a chair, let's just sit down. Ooh, feels good, doesn't it? Oh. Ooh. Wow, I never knew sitting down felt so good. Lord Chaitanya, today I was they gave me a topic about something about entering into the Maha Mantra, or what was the topic? Who knows the topic? Topic? Anyone know the topic? How to approach the Maha Mantra. Something. No, I'm talking about, they gave me a topic for a lecture today. What was it? Oh, yeah, entering the mood of kirtan. I decided the best way that we could talk about it was just do it. One time, years ago, back in the early 80s, Srila Indra Swami and I were together at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. We rolled into town, and the temple president came up to Maharaj and he said, Maharaj, could you please give Bhagavatam class today? And Maharaj said, yes, of course. He said, and first, could you lead Guru Puja Kirtan? And I said, sure. So Maharaj started leading kirtan. And the kirtan kept going and going. And we had, I don't know about now, I think maybe it's changed, but back then a lot of the British devotees, they all sort of acted like they were, you know, kissing cousins with Prince Charles. These guys were like dancing in the kirtan. They were like getting crazy like all the rest of us, you know. And the kirtan went for like a half hour, and the kirtan went for 45 minutes, and the kirtan went for about an hour and a half. And finally the temple president came up and he tapped Maharaj on the shoulder and he said, Maharaj, it is time to give class. And Interdwinning Maharaj turned and he said, this is my class. Entering the mood of the holy name. That's all we've been doing for the past couple hours. And sometimes we stopped and we spoke about it and mentioned what Narottam Das Thakur was saying in his bhajans. Like that Nam Sankirtan, it's so beautiful. Because it's just like, you know, how to go back to, the course on how to go back to Godhead. Hari Harai Nama Krishna Jadavai, just chanting God's names. You know, Gopal, Govinda, Ram, Shri Madhusudan. We go to your Vaishnavas, we depend on Govinda, Gopinath, and Madan Mohan. Those are our deities. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda, Sri Advaita Sita. We're dependent. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, and Advaita Prabhu for their mercy. Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavad Gita. We're dependent on Lord Hari. If we want to enter into the holy name, we must have faith in the holy name, faith in Lord Hari, faith in the instructions of our spiritual master, faith in the feet and the service of the Vaishnavas, faith in Bhagavad Gita. Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath. Just the names of our acharyas. Lord Chaitanya, he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The only instructions he gave us were 8 verses. Didn't write any books. He gave 8 verses. And in 8 verses, the entire science of bhakti is described, from the first ray of Shraddha, or faith, to the glory of Krishna Prema, all in 8 verses. So why Sri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath? Because they've written volumes of literature just unpacking those 8 verses. Like probably some of you Indian guys over here, like programmers or something like that. Some places, like the Indians, are all like these computer geniuses. You know that on like a little single tiny computer chip, there can be so much information, like reams and volumes and vast amount, just on that. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he put the entire science of loving God in 8 verses. But it was encrypted. And the Goswamis have been unlocking that, writing literature so we can understand what it means. All of our Goswamis, and Prabhupada, same thing. And our spiritual masters today, still writing. Srila Prabhupada, he said, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested his followers to write books. So just in the first verse of Sikshastakam, he explains entering the holy name, the power of the holy name, how to do the holy name properly. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Anandam Buddhi Bardhanam. If you simply perform Sankirtan properly and purely, I got my back to the deities. If you perform Sankirtan purely, he says that the lotus of your heart will open. Lord Chaitanya is very poetic. Shaya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. The Kairava is a white lotus. Pink lotuses, blue lotuses, they open under heat of sun. White lotus opens under cool rays of the moon. If any of you go to Vrindavan in Kartik, you'll see that they put these very big garlands on the deities, these white garlands, sort of like floppy sort of lotuses. Those are Kairava lotuses. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if a person chants purely, if he's followed the instructions of his spiritual master, he practices his sadhana bhakti correctly, then when he chants the Maha Mantra, it will be like the cool light of the full moon coming on the lotus of your heart. You know, full moon is always cool. Very cooling effect. Srila Bhaktivinoda says, those cool rays, when we chant the mantra that's actually filled with Krishna prema, is actually filled with pure emotion or bhav for Krishna. He says, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavaru Jivanam. We become revealed. And then in that state he says, Anandam Buddhi Bardhanam. You get drowned in the ocean of nectar. You get drowned. How does that sound? Would you like to get drowned? Huh? Drowned in the ocean of joy. By Srila Prabhupada's mercy, I had the opportunity to be in Vrindavan, to do service in Vrindavan. I reached Vrindavan about July of 77. Prabhupada left about November of 77. So I had the opportunity to be there with His Divine Grace. And Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami, he was such an anchor for Srila Prabhupada. He was always just encouraging Prabhupada. Whenever Prabhupada needed something, he'd say, "Where's Tamal?" So I was in the room one afternoon after I'd done all my, I'm a cook, so after I did my cooking service, I'd scrub myself. Back then in Vrindavan we only had wood to cook on, you know, and big fires. And from like 5 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was handling these big pots. I'd come out of the kitchen, man, I was like his brother. And I'd go to the room and like, grow cool a shower and scrub myself, go into Prabhupada's room. And they would read news to Prabhupada to encourage Prabhupada, to lift his spirits. And one afternoon, one report came in from South Africa. And they just opened a temple in a place called Cato Ridge. And it was a real nice report. It was very, very nice. And they knew that if Prabhupada heard that, his spirits would get picked up. So they were reading. And one of the first things they read is, how the devotees built the temple and they had cows and so many thousands of people came to the opening. And this is during apartheid in South Africa. It was a big thing. And then they came across the line, this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for making people happy, healthy, and holy. And Prabhupada heard that, and he said, stop, read it again. So they read, the Krishna consciousness movement is for making people happy, healthy, and holy. Then Prabhupada started speaking, and he said, yes, before you all came to Krishna consciousness, you were quite wretched. You were dirty. You were unhealthy. You had such bad habits. You were miserable all the time. You were bored with life. Was anybody bored before they came to Krishna consciousness? Like totally bored. Because we've already done everything so many times in so many lives. There's just like nothing to do. And Prabhupada started speaking, and you have to understand at that time, Prabhupada was so sick he couldn't move. He just laid on his bed. Couldn't sit up, couldn't do anything. So he was speaking, and then he said, continue reading. So they read a little more, then they came across another line. Said, this Krishna consciousness movement is meant for smashing bogus yogis. When Prabhupada heard that, he got such a big smile on his face. He said, read it again. So they read it again, and then Srila Prabhupada started talking about different folks that had a reputation for being spiritualists, but they weren't actually spiritualists. And we were all sitting there, and we were just relishing so much with Srila Prabhupada. And then Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami, he said, Srila Prabhupada, he said, this Krishna consciousness movement that you've created is an ocean of nectar. And Prabhupada went, what did you say? And Tamal Krishna Goswami, he said, Srila Prabhupada, the Krishna consciousness movement is an unlimited ocean of nectar. And Prabhupada went, what did you say? And then Tamal Krishna Goswami, he said, the Krishna consciousness movement is an unlimited ocean of nectar. He said, Anandam Buddhi Bardhanam. When Srila Prabhupada heard that, Anandam Buddhi Bardhanam, he was laying on his bed, and he thrust his hand into the air, and his hand was quivering just to keep it up. And then with a very loud voice he said, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. And then his hand fell back down. Param Vijayate. Lord Chaitanya says, yes, you chant purely. You will enter into an ocean of Ananda. But then Srila Bhaktivinoda, he says, Then some smart fellow will say, but you Krishna Bhaktas, you don't want anything. You don't want the results of karma. You don't want results of jnana, liberation. You don't want results of yoga power. You guys say that your hearts are free. But now you're talking about ananda. You're always talking ananda, like you want something. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and our acharyas say that the premananda that a person experiences through chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is pure and it's selfless. It's not self-motivated. Again, idam Krishnaya idam namama. We chant for Krishna's pleasure. We dance for Krishna's pleasure. We take prasad for Krishna's pleasure. This is bhakti. Anandam buddhibardhanam purna amrit asvadam. By chanting the holy name, at every step of your life you will taste nectar. Like last year I was here on Narasimhadev appearance, and Srila Ramapad Swami and I, we did some class together. Was somebody else here also? I can't remember. Oh, you were here. Some other senior person was supposed to come, but I don't think he came. Oh, Shamsundar, he couldn't make it. We were talking about Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad was pure devotee, prema bhakta. Atma Nivedanam devotee, gave everything to the Lord. Prahlad was totally fearless, full of compassion, had no fear. He could stand up to his father and call him a demon straight in his face. Oh, Asura Bharjanam, best of the Asuras. Would you say that to your papa? Not at all. Boy, you know you're going to get hurt if you do that. Yeah. So, Lord Nrsingadev, he came here to protect Prahlad. He loved Prahlad so much. He'd given himself to Prahlad. And then he said, Prahlad, please take something. And Prahlad said, no, I don't need anything. He said, Prabhu, Lord Nrsingadev, I'm a demon. I was born in a demon's family. I have demon blood inside of my veins. If you give me something, I'm going to use it wrong. Better you don't give me anything. And the Lord said, look, you can't bluff me, I know who you are. Take something. Prahlad said, but I don't need anything. He said, I know that you're the best of people who can give benedictions. But he said, I have no problems. Because whatever situation I'm in, whether it be heaven situation, hell situation, I'm always absorbed in your name and your form and your qualities. I don't have any problems. And then Prahlad paused. And he looked at the Lord and he said, "But Lord, I am concerned." He said, "I'm concerned about all these foolish rascals, materialistic rascals, that keep making plans to enjoy the material world. And they keep going on making plans for their families, their society, their countries. They always make plans that way. They're so foolish. I'm concerned for them, Lord." And then Prahlad pauses and he says, he concludes by saying, "And I'm only concerned due to feelings of love for them." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Anandam Buddhibardhanam, Pratipadam Purna Amrit Aswadam. Whatever situation you'll be in, whether you're in Southside, whether you're in Vrindavan, whether you're in heaven, Shishi Kishore Kishori Ki. Whatever's going on, you've taken shelter of the Lord through His holy names, it's only going to be Amrita. Even in the midst of the greatest crisis, you'll always be protected by the Lord and you'll taste nectar. Purna Amrit Aswadam. And what does he say? Sarvam Snapanam. Sarvam Snapanam. If you chant the holy name, everything will be, every impurity will be washed from your consciousness. And he concludes by saying, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. So what does the Param mean? Everybody knows that Param means supreme, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that the supreme spiritual practice in Kali Yuga is Sri Krishna Sankirtana. Param, nothing else can touch it. You can't get there again. You can't get there by karma, you can't get there by jnana, you can't get there by yoga. We mentioned today 400 years Chaitanya Charitamrita, that famous verse everybody knows, Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shakali Ashanta, Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ataiva Shanta. A karmi, he wants something, he's not peaceful. A jnani, he wants something, not peaceful. A yogi, he wants something, not peaceful. Maybe a transcendentalist, but still he wants something. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shakali Ashanta. Shakale. Any Bengalis here? Shakale. Everyone. Who's been to Mayapur when Hari Shori Prabhu used to give the announcements after Mangalarti? He can go, Shakale Boshun. Everybody sit down. Shakale Boshun. Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shakale Ashanta. None of them are peaceful. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama. Krishna Bhakta doesn't have any personal motivated desire. Attaiva Shanta. Therefore, he's the only peaceful person. In heaven or in hell. As long as he's chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remembering the Lord. Param Vijayate. What does Vijayate mean? Victory. Victory. Param vijayate. Victory over what? Victory over the three modes of material nature. Davihi shagunamayi mamamayi dhiratyaya. Mam evaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. This divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is impossible to overcome, except for one who is surrendered to me. By surrendering to the Lord through chanting the holy name, Param Vijayate. By the grace of the Lord, He allows you to go beyond the three modes of material nature. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So what does Shri Krishna mean? Shri Krishna? Huh?
Lord Krishna.
He says Lord Krishna. Shri Krishna is Lord Krishna. That's the way I always used to look at it also, until I read Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Srila Bhaktivinoda, he says that generally, like people, when they speak of Shri, they're speaking of Lakshmi ji, who's the goddess of fortune. Is that correct? Shri is Lakshmi. But Srila Bhaktivinoda says that just like you have Lakshmi Narayan, Narayan is an expansion of Krishna. The goddess of fortune is the expansion of Sri Radha. It says, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan. If you chant the names of Radha and Krishna, if you chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, with that prayer, O my Lord, O the divine energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtana. So I guess that was the topic today. Shri Guru. And then I mentioned somewhere in the kirtan, in our kirtan journey today, it's really necessary that this grace and mercy which we have received, that we share. And it's and there's so many reasons why we should share, but I would say essentially we should look at it from this perspective. The Vedic literatures explain that originally God was one. He was Advaita. But then he expands. And the Lord has his internal chit shakti, or his internal spiritual potency, which is Sambit, Sandini, and Ladini. Correct? Sambit is knowledge. Sandini is like the glue that holds everything together in the spiritual and material. Hladini is pleasure. Lord is a person. He expands to increase his pleasure. The Lord is a person. He's the Adi Purusha. He always wants to have relationships with people. There's only one thing that Krishna is into, and that's love. Krishna is a person who loves to love, and Krishna is a person who loves to be loved. He's like all of us. Because we're part of Krishna, we're like that also, isn't it? You know? We love to love, and we love to be loved. Krishna, he wants to have more and more relationships. Now, where Krishna lives, according to what we read in Srila Prabhupada's books, the Vedas say about 3/4 of all the living beings, they're up there somewhere in the spiritual world with Krishna. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a minority group. It's not that all of us are down here. We're like a small group of people that, took the wrong turn on the expressway, and we ended up in the material world. But Krishna always needs more people to love. And Krishna wants us to come to engage in loving relationship with him. So what does he do? He's so possessed with this idea that sometimes he comes down as Krishna, and sometimes he comes down as Ram, and sometimes he comes down as Nrsimha, and sometimes he comes down as, Baraha, and sometimes he comes down as Bamandev. Sometimes he'll empower a jiva to do his work. To try to give people the process, how to come back so that he can love. And sometimes a living being understands that so much they just sacrifice everything to try to do it for him, because they know that's what he wants. Like Srila Prabhupada. He gave up everything. He gave up his happy home. He left, he came here with nothing. He only wanted to share Krishna Nam so people would go back. And Krishna loves those types of devotees so much. He says, I am always in the heart of my devotees. He says, not only am I in the heart of my devotee, but I'm always reside in the hearts of the devotees of my devotees of my devotees. That's like today when we were singing Shri Rup Shri Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopalavat Das Raghunath. Srila Prabhupada says, like the devotees of the Lord are like Vyasadeva and Narada. And then later, Prabhupada says in a purport, he says, later, you have like the Goswamis. long time removed, but the devotees are the devotees of the devotees. He says they're even more dear to the Lord, and the Lord is in their hearts. Then we have Srila Prabhupada. How could Prabhupada have done what he did? He just gave everything to the Lord, and the Lord gave everything to him. Vijamyaham. The Lord lives up to his words. He gave everything. Prabhupada gave everything. The Lord gave him everything. So, we've come in that line also, and we've received that gift of the Holy Name. We've received that gift of Bhagavad Gita. We've received that gift of Srimad Bhagavatam. We've received the gift of Vaishnava Sangha. And why are we here? Because Prabhupada and the Acharyas, they want us to go back, so make Krishna happy. Because that's the only intention, is to make Krishna happy. So that's why I said in the kirtan today, it's not just a matter of coming and dancing in the kirtan on Sunday. Or now we have like kirtan mela phenomena around the world where everybody goes to kirtan mela and they get into ecstasy. And then after kirtan mela, what do you do? After sadhu sangha, what do you do? You know, who went to sadhu sangha? Bravo. Fantasticus. I couldn't go this year because just at the time of sadhu sangha, I received a visa to go to a country called Turkmenistan. And according to Human Rights Watch, Turkmenistan is the second most repressive country on earth next to North Korea. It's a really repressive place. It's a beautiful place, oh my God. Like the guy over there, he's completely rebuilt the capital city. Every building is pure white marble. I mean, you've never seen a place as pretty as that before. I mean, it is gorgeous. Fountains everywhere. You can't find a speck of dirt on the roads. I mean, it is. If you pull out a cigarette on the street, you get busted. What to speak of a bottle of beer? You know, you can't do stuff like that over there. And everybody thinks, oh, horrible, 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 repressive. Jai Kishore Kishore Ki. Actually, it's a nice place to live. We have nice devotees there, a big congregation of devotees. You know, they're like, it's right on the northern border of Iran. And beautiful devotees and old devotees too. You know, like a whole gang of devotees who have been devotees for like 25 years, and their children, and graduating university, and new kids coming, and so I received a visa to go there. So I didn't come to Sadhu Sangha this year. But you got to think, you go there and you sit in the nectar, you just drown in the nectar of the holy name in Sadhu Sangha, and then what are you going to do after? What are you going to do after Kirtan Mela? What are you going to do after the Kirtan today? You have to distribute. You have to preach. You have to share the nectar. And then somebody will be touched. And then that person, he's on his way to go back to Krishna, so Krishna can have another person to love, make Krishna happy. Okay, thank you all very much for your association this afternoon. started singing the arti, and I turned to Mukunda and I said, "What time is this supposed to be finished?" He said, "Arati finished 20 minutes ago. You can stop now." And then I went over and I checked the schedule, and the schedule said I was supposed to sing till 1:30, but then something happened along the way. Became a little extended, and the dancing became too nice. You know, like sometimes in kirtan at a certain point, things, you know, it's like the holy name sort of takes over. Sort of like the holy name conquers your mind, and the holy name conquers your body and everything else, and then it's just like this wonderful transcendental explosion. And that's what happened for me today. You know, sometimes in kirtan like this, when we're like chanting Nitai Gaur, when everybody's singing mantra very loud and clear, I always sort of, in my own silly sort of way, I sort of like describe it as sort of like the prayer channel gets turned on, or it's sort of like, you know, I don't know what it's like in cars these days, but when I was a kid, you'd get in your car and you want to, I think now you just have buttons that you push, but when we were kids, you'd have to like turn the knob on your car to try to find a radio station, and you'd get all this screechy stuff in between. And then you'd sort of like come on to a station and it'd be like, whoosh, it'd be really clear. And sometimes it's sort of like that. Sometimes I'm going like, you know, what can I do to improve my bhakti? You know, what can I do to, you know, get these feelings out of my heart? What can I do to move ahead? What can I do to, you know, give up these bad desires? What can I do to focus? And I run around and thinking all the time. But then sometimes in kirtan, when it comes to one of those points where everybody's like chanting Nitai Gaur and the sound is so loud, or the Maha Mantra is coming through, it's sort of like you're just turning the knob and then it comes right onto the exact frequency. And then you realize, this is all I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be doing anything else. I'm supposed to be chanting the holy names. I'm supposed to be associating with Vaishnavas. I'm supposed to be chanting my japa. I'm supposed to be studying Bhagavatam, just doing as much service as I possibly can. And it just, that comes through real clear sometimes in kirtan. You have that experience also? It's sort of like Krishna says, samsayam samagram mam yatagnyasa sitashrinu. He says, just free from any other thought, free from any other doubt. You're just absolutely convinced. Then he says, yatagnyasasi tatshrinu. He says, hear from me. And in the kirtan, it's so powerful that it's just like, this is it. So, thank you very much for your association today. It's been a wonderful pleasure being with you. And past 2 nights at different places, in Napierville, and then the night before, I don't know where it was. Palatine. Palatine. We're in Palatine. And this morning, His Holiness Shivaram Swami, he sent me there's another thing I want to mention also. I mentioned about 400 years of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Today, I got up at 5 this morning, and just a few minutes after I got up, a message came across that His Grace Brahmananda Prabhu had passed away. And, pardon? Oh, yes. Brahmananda Prabhu, he was one of Srila Prabhupada's first disciples. And he was the first temple president, ISKCON. He was the first temple president, ISKCON, New York. And he traveled all over the world for Srila Prabhupada preaching. He was a pioneer. He's one of the pioneers of ISKCON. He did a lot of pioneering work in Africa. Whenever Brahmananda would speak about Prabhupada, who here has ever seen Brahmananda speak about Prabhupada? Start speaking about Prabhupada, and Brahmananda was huge. He was always huge. Prabhupada came to Toronto in 1975, and I was the cook over there. So I was cooking for all the devotees, and I was cooking for Prabhupada's entourage also. Satsrup Maharaj was there, Brahmananda was there, Harikesh was there, I forget who else. And one morning for breakfast, I made kofta. I was really a good cook. I made kofta, and it was quite delicious. I think I should have stayed with cooking, you know. I was a good cook. They had one cook over here in Chicago, his name was Gopati. Does anyone know Gopati? There's Gopati here, me in Toronto, Apurva in Detroit, and we were sort of competing with one another. So I made kofta one morning, and I was serving Prabhupada's entourage. And Satsrup Maharaj, he was so austere. I think I put 2 kofta balls on his plate, and he ate about half of one. Very austere. And then I kept serving Brahmananda, and I served him about 25 kofta balls. And then Satsrup Maharaj got up and left, and he looked at me, and Brahmananda looked at me, he said, "Give me the kofta from Satsrup's plate." So I gave to him. And then he looked at me, he said, "Prabhu, who has made these vegetable balls?" And I said, "Maharaj, I did." And he said, "Oh, then just to show respect to you, I will eat 10 more." He was such a kind-hearted person. And Prabhupada loved Brahmananda so much. And whenever Brahmananda would begin, like these past number of years, he's lived in Vrindavan, gosh, for 15, 20 years now, he and his brother Gargamuni. And Gargamuni, he was another pioneer and like a super terrific, great pioneer of preaching in India. You know, he organized the library party over there. I mean, millions of books they distributed in the early days. And anytime Brahmananda would begin to speak about Prabhupada, within a short time, he'd just start weeping and crying. You know, just his remembrances. He loved Prabhupada so much. So I'm not sure how old he was. Probably nearing 70. Very huge. And he passed away this morning. So I imagine funeral will be at the Jamuna tomorrow, unless they make some other provision, you know. But he was one of the pioneers of ISKCON. I mean, I joined in 71 and he was already a cult legend, you know. He was already a legend, those New York devotees that began with Srila Prabhupada. And amazing personality, Brahmananda Prabhu. Wonderful person. Okay, thank you all very much. Oh, yes. What I was going to say is this morning I got this message. Shiva Maharaj, you know, he said, did you see Kishore Kishori yet? Shiva Maharaj, he did a little stint as temple president over here, maybe in 76 or 77, I'm not sure. And we were talking recently when we were together. Shiva Maharaj, he's a real pujari. And if you've seen pictures of his temple in Hungary, it's just astounding, you know, the way that they do their deity worship. And recently we were talking and he told me, he said, I was always a Sankirtan devotee. Didn't have much to do with deities. He said, but when I was in Chicago, he said, Kishore Kishori put a spell on me. And he said, even though I was a Sankirtan devotee, he said, my most favorite service that I would perform is I would make the garlands for Kishore Kishori. And he said, by their grace, they actually changed my heart, and they made me realize how important it is to worship deities. And so he was asking me this morning, you know, to please say a prayer for him. That's why I said in the kirtan this morning, these deities have blessed so many generations of Vaishnavas in ISKCON, and everybody thinks, you know, so wonderfully of your beautiful deities here. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai.